Yo guys, what's going on? It's Pineapple, and in today's video we're going to go over part 3 of part 2 of data types in Python and using data types, storing them in lists, tuples, sets, and dictionaries. And we're going to be learning about all the different functionality of each one and how to use them and what they look like. So let's get right into it. Alright, so basically, what is a list? A list is a collection of data that is ordered and changeable, and it allows for duplicate members. So right here I've created a list. I've named it my first list. I've set it equal to. In lists we have to use square brackets. We separate each value by a comma, and each thing is stored in a string right here. I mean, we can also use integers if we really wanted to, but we're just using apple, banana, and cherry as an example. So what exactly can we do from this? So we can actually print this list out using our print function that we learned in the last video. If we print my first list and we actually save this and run it using our command prompt, as you can see, we're going to print out apple, banana, and cherry, and we're still going to use square brackets and commas, blah blah blah, but we can change that in the future. We're not really worried about we're just worried about getting our functionality down. So in Python, we basically have an indexing function. Now, computers, they don't think like we do. When we count to 10, we say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. In Python, that's not how we do it. In Python, we say 0, 1, 2, 3. Like we start at 0. So apple's at the 0 index, bananas at the 1 index, and cherries at the 3 index. So let's say that we just want apple. We don't want anything else. So if we put square brackets right here, just like that, and we actually pass in an integer, so we want apple to be printed out, right? So we're going to say we want the 0th index to be printed out. Now if we actually run this, as you can see, we're just going to get apple to be printed out. Now that's useful when we're just trying to access specific data, but what else can we exactly do? We can also print ranges. So as you can see, I've actually added more things to our list. Now let's say we want to print out only specific ones, so we can actually use our square brackets once again and use like a 2, and then we use the 2 dots, and then we want to print out 5. Now let's see what the output is, and then I'll explain more of what's going on. So as you can see, we're going to get cherry, orange, and kiwi. And the reason we get that is because we want to start at the 2nd index, so 1, 2. So we're going to start at 3 because we're leaving these 2 out. We're going to put cherry, orange, and kiwi. Now 0, 1, 2, 2nd index, 3, 4, and 5. Now as you can see, the 5th one actually gets left out. Now that's how it always is. If we wanted melon to be printed out, we would actually have to change that to a 6 if we save that and run it. As you can see, we're actually going to get melon, but we're not going to get mango. And that's just the basics of printing out ranges. So we can change these to any numbers. Now let's try something really quick. So we know that we have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What if we passed in 7 instead of 4? Let's see what actually happens. So if I pass in 7 instead of 4, it's still going to print out everything to that end. It's going to try to print out to the 7th index, but there is no 7, so it's just going to print the rest. That's the basics of that. Now, what else can we do with the list? We can actually take our list and we can change our list using Python. So if we use print my first list, right? Now if we go down here and we actually copy this, just like this, we'll set my first list. Now we're going to use something called the .append method. So we type .append right there, and we use parentheses. We can actually pass in a value. So what are we going to want to add? So let's say we want to add in pineapple, just like that. And we actually reprint my list under that. Let's see what happens when we run this. Now as you see, we get our first list that's unappended. Under that, we actually get our appended list. Now, what we're telling Python to do is we're saying basically, hey Python, we're going to want to print out the first list, which is this, And then after we print out that list, we're going to want to take that list, we're going to want to append, we're going to want to add a method, we're going to want to add an item to that list. And what are we going to want to add? We want to add pineapple to that. And then, hey, Python, we want to reprint that. That's essentially what we're doing. Now, the cool thing that we can actually do here is if we actually copy and paste orange in here and change that to remove, just like that, you're going to see that we actually are able to remove a item from our list. Now, as you can see, we have orange right there, but in this list we don't. So that's what the .remove method does. Now, in Python, there's a lot of different methods to it, and I'm actually going to put them all on the screen right now. Now, as you can see, these are all the basic list functions. So we have append, clear, copy, count, extend, index, insert, pop, remove, reverse, and sort. So right here is what they all do. I did not type that up. I actually found that already typed up. So there's a lot of things you can actually find on the internet. Like I said when I first started talking about Python, Google is your friend. Don't reinvent the wheel when you're trying to program. It's not going to benefit you to reinvent that wheel. So right here we have append. As we saw, that added an element to the list. If we use the clear function, we're actually going to remove all the elements from the list and leave an empty list. Now if we use the .copy method, we're actually going to get a copy of that list returned. Now the count method will actually return the number of elements with the specified value. Now we'll go more into the count method, the extend method. We've already learned the index. Well, we haven't went over it, but basically all we're saying is we're going to return the index of the first element with that specified value. So we would put the list name in here, and then we would use the square brackets once again to pass in an integer, or not pass in an integer, we would pass in the string of what we want it to be indexed, and it would return that index number to us. Now if we wanted to insert data into our list, we can actually do that with Python. By using the insert, we can actually specify that position. Instead of just saying append, we can insert it wherever we want that. Now the pop method will do the same thing as insert, but it will remove an item from that list in the specified position or index that we say. Now we can actually remove, which we can remove that item with the specified value once again. So basically, instead of saying remove index 2, we would say remove apple. Reverse will just reverse the order of the list, so instead of getting it printed the way it's typed out, it would print it backwards. Sort will just sort the list. So basically that's lists in a nutshell. That's lists. So what else is there? Well, we have tuples. Now what's special about a tuple? A tuple is a collection which is ordered and unchangeable. So we still have our indexing, but we actually cannot change the values inside of this tuple. So we can once again print the tuple out. We can just print, and then right here we can just print that. And if we run our program, added a capital letter. So if we run our program, as you can see, we're still going to get the tuple printed out. Pretty simple. Now we can actually use this as basically with the same functionality as a list, but we don't, not everything's there. We're not actually able to append it in the same way, but we're still able to access that data. So here, as you can see, that we're just printing my first tuple, and then we're printing the thing at index number 1. As you can see, we're using the print function to print my first tuple, and we're printing out index number 1. So let's run it and see what happens. We get banana. Now that's printing out, same as the list, very simple. Now we can do the same thing with ranges. Now, as you can see, I've basically just made the tuple list longer, or the tuple longer, not the tuple list. So if we add in our square brackets once again, we can actually use the same range that we did in the other one. So let's see what happens when we run this. We get cherry, orange, and kiwi. It's starting out at 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it's skipping the 5th one. Very simple. Now, just as we had in list, we actually have special things that are just used for tuple, the tuple methods. We have count, which will return the number of times a specified value occurs in a tuple. Basically what that's doing is we can have, as we stated, we can have multiple of the same things in that tuple. So let's say we have apple in there 5 times. Let's say we say count and then we put in apple. It's going to return the number of times that that value has popped up. Index searches a tuple for a specified value and returns a position where it was found. So basically, once again, what we're going to do is we're going to say, okay, Python, where is the index of apple? And it will return 0 or whatever it will be. So yeah. So that's basically tuples in a nutshell. So what other type of data is there in Python? So here we have something called a set. Now we've actually put a set on the screen already, but what is a set? A set is a collection of data which is unordered and unindexed. We use curly brackets instead of square brackets or parentheses. Now, basically what this is doing is it's just creating a set of data. There's just data inside of it. Now, if we use the print functions, you're going to see something kind of different in here than what we've seen in the past. So let's run our Python program once again. As you can see, it didn't print it out in actual order. It printed cherry, apple, and then banana, not apple, banana, and then cherry, because it's unordered and unindexed. There's not any indexes in here. So we're going to dive more into sets later because sets are a little bit different, but we can actually do something in here. We can actually search a set for a specified data. So in here, if we put banana, or actually let's say apple, and then after that we'll say in. So right here we're just saying print apple in my first set. Now what is this going to do? Well, let's run it and see what happens. We get a Boolean value returned to us of true. Now that's saying that apple is in my first set, because obviously right here we can see apples in my first set. Now what if we put pineapple here? Let's see what happens. We're going to get returned a false value because it's not there. Now, as you can see, this will be very, very powerful in the future. Now, as we learned in the last couple of data sets, we can actually still append data or add data into this. Now, it's not an append function. It's actually using something completely different. And that function is basically add. So if we say dot add, and inside of here, we're actually going to say, what do we want to add? Let's add pineapple. Let's add it, and then we'll print my first set. Just like this. Now let's run it and see what happens. Now here we can see pineapple was added. Now, basically, we're just adding data. Once again, it's unordered and unindexed. So what else can we do? What if we want to add multiple things? Well, we can actually add multiple things using a list. So instead of using .add, we actually use something called .update. So if we use .update, now we also need square brackets because we're adding a list of items into it. So this is where data types start to intertwine. Each data type will sometimes use functions of other data types. In this case, we're actually adding a list to a set. Now we can say pineapple, we'll say juice, we'll add all kinds of stuff in here. We can add unlimited number of items. So if we actually run that, you're going to see that pineapple and juice were both added. Now we can add, like I said, an unlimited amount. But we can also remove things. So once again, instead of using the .update, we can say the .remove. Now, what do we want to remove? Well, let's remove apple. Just like this. So now we're going to remove apple. We only have cherry and banana in the set, not apple, because we removed the .remove function. Now, there are a lot of different methods inside of sets. So basically, I'm going to put all the methods on the screen. just like this. Here's all our different methods. Now, we're not going to go over these. You can take a quick glance at them if you would like to. I'm not going to go over them right now because we don't need to know all these, but we will go over them. Some of them, like I said, intertwined, but read over these, do some research. Now, what's our next type of data? We can actually have something called dictionaries. Dictionaries are a lot different. We still use these curly brackets, but in dictionaries we have something called keys and values. So right here we have brand, and right here we have Ford. This is our key, this is our value. We have key, value, key, value. So if we actually save that and run it, we're going to get the brand, Ford, model, Mustang, year, 1964. Now, we can still update these things. Like, let's say that we just bought a new Mustang. So we'll say my first dictionary, right there. And then we'll use something called, then after that, we're going to use our square brackets. We're going to put in here the key value, so year. And after that, we're going to want to set that to equal to something new. We'll say 2020, because we just bought a brand new Mustang with all the money that we've earned from watching my entire course. Now, if we print this out, we're going to print out the original, and then we're going to print the updated version. So let's run this. Look right here. We've changed that value of the key. Now, why is this important? All of these are important because they're different ways of storing data. When we're using Python, we're always going to be storing things and changing things and that kind of thing. So we're going to want to find the best, easiest way for us to be able to do that. Whether for your program that be a dictionary, a list, a set, or a tuple, whatever it will be for you. It can all change depending on the program you're writing. And there is also a set of methods for this as well. I'm not going to go over them all, but these are all the methods. If you'd like to pause the video, look, do some research for yourself, go ahead. So yeah, that's all the different methods. Now, basically, let's recap what we've learned. We've learned what a list is, we've learned what a tuple is, we've learned what a set is, and we've learned what a dictionary is. This is part 2 of the data. Now, after this, we're actually going to write our first program. That's in the next video. That's in the next lesson. So I don't want you guys to get discouraged because of all the information I threw at you so quickly. There is so much more to learn, but just remember, Google is your friend. Don't reinvent the wheel. We have all these different data types, and we need to be able to use all of them functionally and know all about them. So in the next video, we're actually going to be using some of the methods, and we're going to be learning about loops, so stay tuned for that. If you guys would like to support these, go check me out on Skillshare. That will help out a lot. I'll leave a link in the description. Don't forget to join my Discord if you need help, and DM me if you need one-on-one lessons. I'll see you all next time. Peace.